Hello, everyone. I am so excited. I have my friend Heidi Totten here for this special episode of Plug Into Devin. Heidi is the executive director of 100 Humanitarians. She is a business consultant at Heidi Totten Consulting. She is absolutely amazing, and she has, I think, a really interesting story to tell. Heidi, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Devin. How are
We're
you today?
thrilled to have you. What do you want to talk about?
Well, I wanted to share a little bit about my experience escaping Kenya because of the coronavirus, the COVID-19.
Man alive. That was wild. I've only heard bits and pieces. Tell us. So you got down there really just as the world started to shut down. Tell us about your story.
Yeah, so, we had gone to a couple of events. My executive director from Kenya was over here doing some fundraising events. So we went to a local event in Salt Lake called Roots Tech, which was a huge number of people. And then we flew to Orlando for PodFest, which was probably one of the last big conferences that happened before everything shut down. And at that point, it was still really kind of a thing going on in China, a few cases in Washington State, but it wasn't really a big deal. And so we got on the plane. I mean, we saw no reason not to. Our flights were going. There was really no warning. And then when we landed, everything had changed. And it was like the next day we woke up, everyone was going into self-quarantine, not in Kenya, but in the United States. And so, we had a little powwow with our team and said, all right, what's everyone feeling? One person said, I need to get home. And he's the sole provider of his family. And we all agreed with that. The rest of us thought, well, we can ride it out and get our work done. That's why we're here. Until 4 days later, when Kenya, the president came out and said, if you have arrived within the country in the last 14 days, you have to self-quarantine. And that's when all of the crazy misinformation came out. It was, if you go to the airport, you're going to be put in a military installation to quarantine. I mean, we just had no idea what to expect. So we said, all right, we changed our flight for 4 days later. So that when we left, we could say we've been in the country 14 days. And then we holed up at a safari camp and at our hotel until flights started canceling. And then more started canceling and more started canceling. I think by the time all was said and done, I probably had like 7 different hits on my credit card for flights that we were trying to book that then fell apart literally as we were trying to book them. And we were talking with our travel agent every night until the wee hours of the morning, because of course we had the 9-hour time difference. And we just could not get a flight to stick. I mean, they were just not happening. And then the mandate came out that they were shutting down all flights in and out of Kenya, and that if we wanted to get out, we had to get out. Well, we were trying to get out. That's all we've been trying to do for 2 weeks, was try to get out. And so at that point, we had to really take a look at the situation and say, all right, what if we have to stay here? What if we can't get out beyond Wednesday? And so we sent our guys out to buy $500 worth of groceries. And I got to tell you, that was a little hilarious, because it was probably about a month's worth of groceries for 6 people and a lot of cilantro. we had so many bunches of cilantro. I was like, well, I guess we're going to be detoxing a little bit. But we had no pots and pans. We had no way of cooking the food that they brought to us. And so at that point, it was getting pretty scary, though. Everybody was being sent back to their homes. People, in Kenya, they were going on quarantine and lockdown and stuff like that. We were staying at a hotel that we usually stay at. They have apartments there. And so we thought, well, if we have to stay here, we can stay here. But that wasn't safe for the hotel staff either. Kenya has it, while the areas that we work in are pretty safe, they do deal with terrorism from Somalia. And so we just knew that we were not going to be in a safe situation. The day before that Wednesday, so the Tuesday before, two members of our team were able to get out on buddy passes via Ethiopia and a 17-hour layover where their temperature was taken several times and they were put in quarantine in Ethiopia, but they were able to get out. And then the rest of us, well, it was the morning of that Wednesday, and there were no options. We couldn't get on any flights. We had been trying for 24 hours. And finally, Susie, our travel agent, said, I can get you on a flight leaving Thursday. We were like, it's not going to happen. I mean, they're shutting down international flights in and out tonight at midnight. And in the meantime, Devin, it was so crazy. We were calling the US Embassy every day, and they would just say, check your email. And I was like, where are the Patriot Games movies, where we run to the embassy and it's like this big dramatic thing. And, our team kept saying, should we just take you to the embassy? And I'm like, it doesn't sound like anyone's there. And truly, there was no information at all coming out of the embassy other than wash your hands, wait for emails. We called constantly. And then finally that morning at about 7 a.m., we got an email saying, okay, Kenya Airways has opened up a flight to JFK. And after that, you have to get yourself home. But if the plane is full, and that was the key, they said, if every seat is sold, then they will fly. And otherwise they won't. And this is your last chance to get out of Kenya. And we were like, okay, we are getting on that flight. Well, the flight prices were $3,350 one way to JFK. So they were just price gouging. But unfortunately, I had my emergency credit card on me. Of course, it was like, oh, are you trying to charge a huge amount in Kenya? So it took me 6 tries to be able to even charge the card because of, fraud and stuff like that. And I finally said, yes, I'm trying to do this. And so we finally got everything booked. And then all of the phone lines went down in Kenya. So their entire Safaricom system, we couldn't call our team to say, we need rides to the airport. And so by this point, it was pretty terrifying because number one, we didn't know if the plane was going to be full. Number two, we couldn't call our team to take us to Nairobi 3 hours away. And we didn't know if it didn't fly, we didn't know where we were going to go. We didn't know where we could come back to. We didn't even know if we'd be able to get out of Nairobi and get out of the airport. And so the hotel owners finally flagged down a taxi. We were about an hour on our way to the airport when our executive director got through, and he started after us right away. You've met him, Moses, and met us at the airport with an immigrations officer that was a friend of his to ensure that if the flight didn't go, we would be able to get back out of the airport and go back to wherever. We didn't know where we were going to go. What was interesting is that the flight took off and it was probably 2/3 empty. We all had our own rows.
Oh,
so
wow.
We're not sure what happened, but there were a lot of embassy families on the plane. And so, we don't know if somebody bought out the plane or if they just decided to go because of the embassy families, but we just consider ourselves really blessed. And then we had to fly through New York. So when we got home, another 14-day quarantine. But yeah, the plane took off an hour before everything locked down. And since then, I'm still on the embassy emails. No flights have gone out. They haven't been able to get people out.
Man, so you were literally on the last flight out. That's amazing. That's
the name of the book.
Heidi, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. It's so amazing. Before you go, tell people how they can learn more about 100 Humanitarians.
Our website is 100 Humanitarians, the number 100humanitarians.org. And, currently we are just working to help alleviate some of the hunger in Kenya as a result of the virus. And so we're doing fundraising to help some of the most vulnerable, the widows and children in the communities that we work in.
Well, Heidi, we are so grateful for the great work that you're doing and wish you every success in helping to relieve poverty and suffering in Kenya. Thank you.
Thank you, Devin.
All righty. Let's do some good.
Okay.
I'm Devin Thorpe. For the last 8 years, I've been working full-time to eradicate extreme poverty, improve global health, and fight climate change. I've concluded that the best way for me to continue my work is to run for Congress to represent the people of Utah's 3rd District. In Utah, we have common shared values. Those things unite us. I believe passionately in our ability to come together, and I believe that working together, we can solve Utah's problems. I'm Devin Thorpe. I'm a Democrat. I'm running to represent the people of Utah's 3rd District.
I'm Devin Thorpe, a candidate for Congress, and I approve this message.